Assalamu alaikum, my friends. My name is Canyon Mims. I'm a 20-year-old Muslim revert. I've been a Muslim for about 10 months, and I have your guys' top 50 questions that you've been wanting to ask me, and I'm going to break down every single one and answer them for you here. Okay, so our first question we have is, what inspired you to learn about Islam? What inspired me personally is I was traveling around the globe with a business partner of mine who was also my best friend at the time. And he was a Muslim, and the way he treated people and the way he acted really stood out to me because I hadn't been around a Muslim at all yet. He was kind of the first Muslim I actually spent time with. And he always put us first. He always wanted to pay for meals. He was always on the phone with his mom. He was always there for people. And it really intrigued me how kind-hearted he was, how kind of like he was in tune with his inner child. He was a very laughing, very loving, very smiling person. And that really inspired me. And that was what initially struck me to want to learn about Islam, was just by his actions and how he operated through life. Second question we have is, what was the turning point that made you decide to convert? The turning point for me was that it felt right. Like I had been wanting to revert to Islam for maybe 15, 20 days. And I was like, I want to do it. But every day in the mosque, I was kind of nervous and I held back and something would stop me. And I remember I was sitting there in the mosque one day and I'm like, okay, I've got to do it. You know, I've got to take my shahada. And I didn't end up doing it. And I walked home and I took an elevator ride back to our place because we were at the top of a multi-story building. And I remember the elevator shut down. The entire thing, whole thing shut down. And I got stuck there. And the first thing that I did, I was like, okay, I'm going to make dua. I'm going to pray to Allah. And in there, it felt like I was like, there's no way this is a coincidence that after I say I'm 100% going to do it, I didn't take my shahada, and then I get stuck in an elevator. And I sat there praying for 20 minutes until then, after I came to the conclusion, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go inside once the elevator turns back on and take my shahada. Only after that I decided that did I notice that I could open the door the entire time. Even though the power was off, I could still open the elevator door. I only realized after I told myself I'm going to take my shahada. And that was the main turning point, because I was like, I don't believe in coincidences like this. This doesn't happen like that. Number 3, how did your family and friends react to your conversion? I have had a couple friends not fully understand it because they're not fully educated on Islam. Family, super supportive. I've got the best parents. They're like super supportive about me becoming a Muslim. Grandparents, kind of like borderline, like they'd rather I believe in God than not believe in God, but they still would rather me be their religion. But otherwise, it's been pretty supportive. And I have a lot of people from my high school who still follow me, and you know, some of them say stuff here and there, but it's nothing bad. It seems like they're out of curiosity. But yeah, I haven't had any bad experiences with how they react. Okay. Number 4. What was the most surprising thing that you learned about Islam? It's a really good question. What was the most surprising thing that I learned about Islam? The first thing that comes to mind is the story of the prostitute who went to Jannah because of the water she got for the dog. Correct me if I'm wrong on the exact story, but it was that she was walking and there was a dog by a well that was super thirsty, and she went out of her way, got water with her shoe or with a bucket, and gave the water to her dog. And because of Allah's mercy, she went to Jannah because of that. So that was something that really stuck out for me, because something that was really hard is like, you know, my parents, because they're not Muslim, and that's like a big thing. Like, you know, I want them to be able to get to Jannah, but also having faith in Allah's mercy and that happened was really like the major thing that just honestly shook a lot up for me. The fact that this lady who was committing a major sin went to paradise because of that one act of being a good human. So I would say that was the most surprising thing. What were some of the challenges you faced after converting? Cutting off music. Cutting off music's been very hard. It's still something I'm battling with to this day. And I think it's so engraved in society and how we operate that music is such a standard thing. We're so used to music being everywhere. So cutting off music was definitely hard. And then dogs. I love dogs, and I've got a pet dog back at my parents' house, and I really love animals. I love all animals. So also kind of getting over like that dogs are haram is, kind of a hard thing because I love dogs so much. Like one thing I want to do, and hopefully is inshallah get a ranch or a property and have a couple guard dogs, because I really enjoy dogs, but if I keep them as guard dogs, then it's halal. So I'd say music and dogs are like the two biggest challenges. I know most people might say like the prayers and fasting, all this, but no, music and dogs for me. How has Islam changed your daily life? Two major things come to mind when I think about that question. Being very grateful for what I already have. Okay, I've got massive goals I want in this life. I'm very young, but I also understand how blessed I am to have what I already have. So a big thing that Islam has brought to me is internal gratitude and loving my family so much. Like my love for my family and wanting to spend time with them has skyrocketed since I've become a Muslim. So those are the two major things. And then another one that comes to mind, trusting in the faith of Allah, having utter faith that the plan that He has is greater than my plan, and I will work as hard as I can and put faith in His plan. How do you handle stereotypes, misconceptions about Muslims? That one doesn't really bother me. I get a lot of hate on Instagram, and even recently just starting to post YouTube videos, I'm getting a lot of hate here as well. It more makes me sad because they're coming from such a place of ignorance. People who hate on Islam have usually never spent time with a Muslim, right? And if you spend time with a real Muslim who goes by the book, they're a great person, right? It's really hard to hate on Islam. So when I see people hating on Islam or having stereotypes, it definitely just makes me feel sad for them. It doesn't really bother me. Sometimes I get frustrated, right? Like I'm not upset that they're attacking me. That never bothers me. But I get frustrated, like, how can you be so stupid, right? And like, I really had to work recently on just like composing myself and not responding to hate comments, because I'm not mad that they're coming at me. I'm more just mad, like, how can you think this way? So I don't let it affect me. What was your first Ramadan like? I didn't fast the entire Ramadan. I really wish I did. I was sick during it, and I kind of used that as an excuse to go like, oh, I'm sick, this. But one thing, first day of Ramadan, I got to spend in the Prophet's mosque in Medina. And that was the most magical experience ever. They laid in the entire mosque, they laid out these papers, and they gave everybody a little bag with some yogurt, with some dates, I think with a piece of bread, and everybody was there. We all broke our fast together in the Prophet's mosque, and that was such a beautiful experience because I was by myself at that point. I was not with my friend. And I was there and talking to some people, and there's so many ethnicities, so many people from all different walks of life. Truly beautiful experience. How did you learn to pray and perform other Islamic practices? Mostly everything I learned was from my best friend who I was living with, and as well the uncles at the mosque in Pakistan while I was staying in Pakistan. Most everything I learned was from those people. Like the majority of all my condensed learning was while I was in Pakistan with my best friend, and then watching YouTube videos, watching people on Instagram. Did you experience any culture shock when you first entered the Muslim community? No, I didn't experience any culture shock. One thing though I have noticed is there's a massive bleed between Arabic culture and Islam. It very much bleeds. There's a lot of things that people think is Islam, but it's actually Arabic culture. For example, getting an Arabic name. I have an Arabic name, Ahmed. They gave it to me at the mosque. But that's not actually anything in Islam. So I would say maybe I had a little shock with people trying to force Arab culture on reverts, but with Islam, no. It came relatively easy for me. Another thing actually I'll add there, it can be kind of overwhelming because there's something in Islam where reverts, people are kind of, maybe it's an awe by them, or, a lot like they're just like, they're really nice to reverts. And I think for some people it can be a little bit too much. They want to ask so many questions. Everyone wants to hear the revert story. Everyone wants to hear this. So at times it can be a little overwhelming, but you just got to understand that people are coming from a place of love and they want to hear your story. Number 11. What does being a revert mean to you? It's a good question. What does being a revert mean to me? I would say being a revert means to me that I do not discredit my past, and that is 100% part of my character, and that canyon still completely exists. I've just added on top another amazing part to myself that I love. I am not a different person. I've just added a thing on top, which is religion, to the person that I already was. Because I think sometimes people think like, I've completely changed, I'm a whole different person. No, I'm the same person you would have known in my senior year of high school. I'm the same guy, right? But I've just found the truth. So I would say that's what revert means to me. Question number 12. How do you stay motivated in your new faith? Doing this, talking to you, posting videos on Instagram every single day where I've got people asking me questions and where I am almost forced to learn more about Islam because I have to get people the answers, or I want to set a good example. That's a big thing. I really want to set a good example. I don't want to do anybody wrong by setting the wrong example of what a Muslim should be. So something that's really helped me stay motivated in my faith is knowing that there are people who watch me every single day, and it's my duty to set the best example for those people. How did you find support after converting? My best friend and his mom, most amazing people, may Allah bless them. They were the ones who took me on Umrah. He's the one I lived with for 5 months. My best friend, he's the one who's always had my back. He's the one who's always been there for me. His mom bought me like 20 books when I first reverted. I have all the books. This is the Quran. My prayer mat, they got me a prayer mat. My beads that I use, they got me that. So many things. We got matching hats. This is actually, my best friend has the other one that we bought when we were in Mecca. They always had my back, and those are the people who gave me support when I most needed it. And then a lot of other people that I've met along the way. Okay, let me scroll down to get these new ones. Question number 14. What advice would you give to others considering Islam? The advice that I would give to others is to not feel pressured by anybody's certain opinion, because everybody's going to tell you they're right. A Christian's going to tell you they're right, a Jew's going to tell you they're right, an atheist's going to tell you they're right. I'm going to tell you I'm right. Take your time, do your due diligence, read all of the religious texts. Like if you truly want to find religion, and then remove all emotion from it. That's a big thing for me, is make the decision logically. For Islam, it's a very logical decision. So I think if you can take out emotion, remove other people's opinions, and make the most logical decision that's best for you, you will find the truth. That's what I would recommend. How do you handle negative comments or judgment? I'll be honest, I don't think this is the right thing to do, but sometimes I egg them on to get more engagement on social media, because I kind of have a philosophy that if someone's hating, not egging them on and arguing, I just respond with what and keep them talking. But their engagement will push my video on social media, which will push me in front of the right eyes, and hopefully I end up helping someone. So it could definitely be the wrong thing for me to do. But hate doesn't really bother me, because I know that it's coming from a place of ignorance. When I first was getting hate, like when I was first growing on Instagram, I remember I'd be in bed seeing what people are saying and actually cackling to myself that people actually thought this. Sometimes it gets to me, sometimes it frustrates me, but 95% of the time, hate doesn't even register, doesn't even affect me at all. Number 16, what are some misconceptions you have had about Islam before converting? So this is one, I had no misconceptions, okay? I knew nothing about Islam. I knew nothing about how people view Islam as terrorists, how people view, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in a bad light and what they say about him. I knew nothing about that. I was not aware of any of the negative propaganda the West says about Islam. So I only got to see the good parts, and that's what really helped me revert to Islam. But I had no negative misconceptions before reverting. Number 17, how do you balance your American identity and your new faith? That's a good question. By not changing who I am. By not saying because I'm a Muslim, all of a sudden my entire personality has changed. No, I'm still the same kind of carefree-esque, likes to just joke around young guy, right? I love business. I love competing. I love competition. I'm the same person. So how I've been able to keep my identity is by not changing who I am, just adding on to who I am, right? I didn't have an entire rebrand of my person. I just added on to who I was. That's how I did it. What is your favorite part of being a Muslim? Community. Knowing there's people who just have my back. Knowing that I could go to Pakistan and like live in someone's house for a year and they would take care of me and they wouldn't even have to know me. We wouldn't even have to speak the same language. Knowing that there's that level of brotherhood, sisterhood, and familyhood in Islam has to be my favorite thing. Number 19, how has Islam influenced your worldview? There's a lot of people living very satanic lives. So many cities in so many places in the world are incredibly satanic. And I think once I became a Muslim, I started to notice it more and more. Just simple lyrics in songs, simple things in movies, simple things in video games. There's so much Satanism everywhere in this modern world. And now that I understand the truth and I know what the reality is, I start to see it way more often. I see it pop up a lot. That would be the biggest thing that changed in my worldview. Are there any traditions or practices that you found particularly beautiful? Umrah, going on pilgrimage. That was the most beautiful thing ever. That was the most amazing experience ever. I had the best time. That was what I loved, yeah. Funny question. How did you choose your Muslim name? If you did, right? Kind of goes back to our previous question that's actually Arabic culture. That's not Islam. My Arabic name is Ahmed, and that was given to me by the people in the mosque. They're like, hey, do you want to have a name? I was like, sure. And one guy screams out, call him Ahmed. Ahmed, whichever one. And then that's the one I go by now. 22. This is a good question. Do you still celebrate any holidays from your old life? It's a very good question. Well, there's like Halloween, Christmas, Easter. I think those are really the only main holidays. And those are all pagan holidays. And birthdays. I didn't celebrate my birthday. Didn't do that. Didn't celebrate Halloween. Christmas, I wouldn't go like celebrate Christmas, but I would go spend the Christmas time with my family and enjoy the family time with them. And Easter, I wouldn't celebrate Easter. How has your perception of religion changed overall? That Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are incredibly similar, and they fight over the smallest differences all the time, and don't realize that 99% of everything that we say, we all agree on. And we're fighting each other instead of fighting the common good. Fighting for the common good. Wow. It's a bright light, guys. Very bright light. Okay. What was the hardest thing to give up or change? Music. Music was the hardest thing to give up or change. How do you feel about modesty? I love it. That's something I love about Islam. And not just for women, for men too. And I think a lot of men don't realize that. Men, you should be covering your aura too, okay? But I love it. I absolutely think it's something that keeps our world pure, is when we are all being modest people. So I love the modesty in Islam. What are some habits or rituals you've incorporated since converting? Daily gratitude and like fully putting my faith in Allah. Like just like the simplest things. Like I lost my key the other day. I'm like, Allah, I put my faith in you. Like I pray that I can find my key. I put my faith in you, right? Simplest things. And Allah is the best of planners and it always works out. So that would be the major thing. Number 27. How do you handle fasting during long summer days? Fasting is super good for you, super beneficial. I was reading a book called Lifespan recently by Dr. David Sinclair about how, like, if you fast, you live longer. I have no issues with fasting. I can fast an entire day. I'll be a little maybe flustered for some parts of work, but totally fine. Number 28. What Islamic principle resonates with you the most? It's going to go back to that same thing. It's going to go back to having complete faith in Allah's plan and then being really grateful. Those are like my two major things, like trusting in the plan, being grateful for what I already have. What's one thing you'd like non-Muslims to know about Islam? We love you. We have nothing bad to say about you. We want you to find the truth. And that would make us so happy if you did. And if you don't, we're not going to judge you for it. How did you feel the first time you visited a mosque? First mosque I was in was in Pakistan. Absolutely beautiful. Stunning mosque. So amazing. I felt so peaceful. It was this massive building with carpets, nothing else in there, and Qurans everywhere. It was so beautiful. I absolutely loved it. Like the first time I was in a mosque, I was like, you know what I want to do right now? I want to go lay on the floor and fall asleep. Like, it was so calming and it was so beautiful. How did you learn about Islamic teachings? Best teacher right here, Quran. And heavily recommend this for anybody who's learning about Islam. The Easy Quran. It's very nice. It is the simplest English version that you can get. Very easy to understand. Are there any Islamic scholars or figures who inspire you? Mufti Menk. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Absolute G. I love that guy. I love watching his videos. Number 33. How do you navigate relationships with non-Muslim friends or family? To be honest with you, I don't really have much friends. My business partners are my friends. So that's that. And then people like back in my hometown that I go see, you know, I don't have an issue. Like, obviously they know, like, don't do anything haram around me. They know that. And then family, it's totally fine. My family's super supportive. Yeah. Do you plan to learn Arabic and why? Yes, I plan to learn Arabic because we all should know Arabic and you get rewards for learning Arabic. I was doing good for a bit. I had like a 60-day streak on Duolingo learning Arabic, but then I lost the streak, kind of lost my motivation. I haven't been learning Arabic recently. Has Islam affected your view on social issues? No. I've had the same view on social issues before and after Islam. Number 36. What do you love about the Muslim community? Great question. I love the people, and I love how supportive they are, and I love how I know that I can rely on my Muslim brothers and sisters to always have my back. Number 37. How do you deal with feeling different or new in a Muslim community? Very good question. Whoever asked that one, magnificent question. By being okay that you're new and you're still learning and you're taking your time and being willing to tell people that. I think, you know, if a revert walks into a mosque, they might be overwhelmed and try to like act like they fit in versus going up to someone and going, hey, yeah, I'm a revert. Like, I don't know that much about Islam. Like, you know, can you help me? Right? And I think if you can make yourself vulnerable and you can get in, they'll want to accept you in the community. They'll want to teach you things. They'll want you to sit with them. They'll want you to pray with them. And you will feel loved immediately. Because I've had that happen. I've walked into a mosque, felt out of place. But I've also walked into a mosque and told everybody, like, hey, I'm a revert. Like, I don't really know much. And they've all had my back. They've all been super supportive. So as long as you can be willing to tell people that, you won't feel different. You'll feel loved. Number 38. What do you miss most from before you converted, if anything? Dogs. I love dogs. I'm such a dog person. They're so cute and they're so sweet. That's what I miss most. Yeah, that's simple answer. What's the most challenging aspect of practicing Islam in America? Well, I don't live in America, okay? So I am American, but I've spent the majority of my adult life outside of America. But still, this question applies to other areas of life. I would say the most challenging aspect, praying, getting all of your prayers right. So if you go out, say I'm in Medina with my friends and we're going around and we're hanging out, we spend the whole day out going and doing stuff. Every time there's a prayer, we just go to a mosque really quick, pray, right? But if you're going out and doing stuff all day with your friends and you're not in somewhere that there's mosques, you're not in somewhere you can just pray right where you are, it can get a little uncomfortable because you either have to pray where you might feel vulnerable or you have to miss your prayers. So I would say that is the most challenging part about practicing Islam in America. Okay, number 4-0. Do you think Islam has helped you become a better person? Yes, simple answer. Islam has made me a better person in every single aspect possible. How has prayer affected your life? Amazing question. I love this question. Prayer has affected my life by teaching me how to collect my thoughts, teaching me how to take a second to be by myself, be able to analyze where I am and not be in a rush, right? We're constantly rushing through life. And when you have to stop to pray, it allows you to be present and allows you to be grateful for where you are and take a second to ground yourself. And that's something I really love about prayer. Number 42. We're getting on that last 10. 42 is, what do you think is the biggest misconception people have about reverts? That we're like brainwashed, that we have a low IQ, or that we got cooed into a cult. Like, I'm sorry, that's just not the truth. I think people think reverts just like make these hasty decisions. Most people who revert to Islam take a very long time to do their due diligence. Like, I probably reverted way faster than the average person. Most people take their time to really look into it. So I think a misconception people have is that like Muslim reverts are just like people who had like bad relationships with their family or got outcasted. Like, I have people say all the time, like, oh my gosh, you must have no relationship with your dad. Bro, my dad's the best person ever. My dad and I are like best friends. We've been best friends forever. Like, I've got the best relationship with my family in all areas. My brother, my mom, my grandparents on both sides. No issues there, right? But they just assume. So I'd say that's the biggest misconception. Are there any moments where you felt your faith was really tested? There are moments I have felt tested, but not moments where I felt my faith has been tested, right? So I've lost a good amount of money and I've had a lot of circumstances change. And obviously, sometimes we can take a second to go, oh my gosh, Allah, why are you doing this to me? But it goes back to my previous point where one of my biggest things is being grateful for what I already have and trusting in the plan of Allah. So if I lose half my net worth, I can be grateful I didn't lose all of it. And I lost it for a reason, and that isn't Allah's plan. So I'm okay with it. So it doesn't bother me too much. Number 44. How do you manage balancing your new faith with societal expectations? Marvelous question. Tell them how it is. Don't back down. I'm a Muslim. I don't do that. Yep. I'm a Muslim. I don't do that. Nope. That's haram. I don't involve with that. Don't change your beliefs for someone else. Don't change your beliefs to try to fit in. Straight rule. I was out on a Croatia event, I think 3 weeks ago. Oh, maybe it was a month ago at this point. And everybody knew he's a Muslim, right? And they all respected that. There was no like this, just boom, he's a Muslim. Doesn't do that, does this, doesn't do that. Perfect, no issue. Not gonna change for anybody. They all respect that. And when you do stand straight to your faith and you're like, no, this is what I do, this is what I don't do, and you truly don't waver, people will respect you for that. Number 45, how has Islam shaped your view on success and happiness? Success is not just about money, and happiness is not just about material things. Success for a man is becoming the best version of yourself and being a God-fearing man and being strong and having a good family. And success for a woman is having a good family, being God-fearing, being strong, being a good mother to your children, right? That is what success is. Success is not what your watch looks like. Success is not the car you drive, but it's how well-rounded of a human you are. How do you approach learning about different Islamic cultures? I have no intention to learn about anything besides the Sunni. No intention to learn about anything else. Number 47, how do you stay connected to your faith when struggling? Back to my same point, put your faith in Allah. Just keep that forefront. Everything that happens every single day, it's already been planned. It's already mapped out. That was supposed to happen. And if you can constantly keep that forefront, no matter what life throws at you, you can take it because you know that's in the plan that's supposed to happen. 47, how do you stay connected to your faith? Oh, sorry, I just said that question. Number 48, what's something you wish more people understood about reverts? It's a good question. What's something that I wish more people understood about reverts? That we're just like you. We're no different than you. We don't have all the answers. We're still learning. We're not better than anybody. We're not special. We're just like you. Number 49, how do you plan to continue growing in your faith? Learning every single day. I love the pursuit of knowledge, and I think every single day we should try to learn, whether that's listening to Islamic scholars, whether that's listening to people on Instagram, whether that's reading the Quran, which is the number one thing that we should do. It's the best teacher that there is, and constantly making dua and constantly keeping Allah in the forefront of our brain. Okay, the final question, drum roll please. Number 50, what has been the most rewarding part of your journey so far? Being able to answer my questions for you. If you found that valuable, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave this a like, and then go ahead and drop in the comments. If you have any other questions, I'll answer your questions, or just drop your comments on the overall thing. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got to enjoy my perspectives, and I will see you in the next video.